wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking all about a forecast for 2024 from a spirit realm. We are talking all about womb healing, how to trust our intuition, trust the process, how to visualize a positive outcome. You may be kind of stuck doing and catastrophizing about the future, ruminating about the past. Maybe you're stuck in worry or impatience. So how do we flip that and be able to trust the process and be able to give ourselves some peace along the way? So excited for you to listen to today's episode. Let's go. Hey, Nichole, excited to have you back on the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I just think I love our conversations here. And I think that, and so this is Nichole's been on the podcast. I think it'll be her fourth time. So definitely check out some of the other episodes that we've done together. Today, we want to really reinstill the hope piece. Because when you're on the fertility journey and you have, low AMH and or high FSH, maybe you've been told donor eggs, maybe this year, as this year is drawing to an end, we're recording this December 5th. And as it's drawing to an end, maybe you thought this was the year it was going to work. Obviously, when we start off fresh, this is what we think. And now here we are, the holidays are coming. We've just had Thanksgiving in the States and moving on to, the holiday season. And it can be quite a hard time of year, right? As we're navigating this journey, maybe there's been loss, maybe there's been failed IVFs, failed IUIs, maybe maybe there's been canceled cycles or poor responder, things like that. And you've made probably a lot of changes to your diet and lifestyle already. So I guess part of our Fab Fertile method, we really believe in the biochemical side of things, looking at the food sensitivities and the gut infections and looking at your genetics and your blood chemistry, making sure things are in the optimal level. It is equally as important for us to look at the mental, emotional side of it. And as part of our program, we actually include either a session with Nichole where she'll come in. So it's distance Reiki. She will come in energetically. People are like, well, where is she? No, she's coming in. It's distance Reiki. And to be able to provide hope. And then she pulls cards and messages that, that come to her. So it can really help people be able to visualize a positive path forward, and then just give them a sense of peace. And then as we lean in on this piece, and then if that doesn't resonate with you, we also have a Christian couples coaching session, or either of these are like, it's not where resonating. We have additional 30 minutes of coaching. But today we're going to focus on the spiritual side of things, the universe, the signs and things like that. But I guess as far as, so like we're saying, the mental emotional side is equally as important, because if you're like, I don't think it's going to work, I feel impatient, I am just worrying myself nonstop, then that causes stress in your body. So I guess kind of like that roller coaster of hope. Anything you want to share there, where we have it, like the period, we have it and the period comes and then it goes away.
Yeah, and I love that you include more of the science and biology of it, especially when it comes to genetics, because in my perspective as a Reiki master and as a spirit baby communicator, that is definitely very spiritual, but we still have to work on this physical realm. So when we're talking about epigenetics, our cells, our DNA can be turned on or off, and it could be a positive thing, it could be a negative thing. But when we think about it and we think about how we're kind of stuck in this cycle of feeling that hopeless and wanting that hopeful state of mind, it's so much easier when we clear our energy. So that's what I love about Reiki, is that it goes in there and it can clear the energy from the cells, even when I'm not with you. So I know that sounds crazy and it's really hard to wrap your mind around, but I actually find that energy works better remotely. I feel that it's stronger, and my clients also feel that it's stronger rather than when we're in person, which I think is just because when we're in person, we've got a lot of energy to kind of filter through. Remotely, we don't have as much energy, so it's like I can just get right in. Oh gosh, and there's something else I was going to say. I'm sure it'll come back to me. So keep going, Sarah. Keep asking me questions, because I really respond when you ask specific
It was,
questions and we go down our path.
yeah, it was very odd. Before we went to record, well, first of all, I came Nichole came on, and then she couldn't hear a word I was saying. I was like muted and whatever. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, let's leave. My computer completely shut down. And then of course it has to do a Zoom update. And I was like, oh, is that like a message for some, like, what am I
Right?
weird thing? Like just shut down, reboot, restart. Let's get this thing,
Uh-huh.
get our negative thought. It's not about not having negative thoughts, but yeah, like that.
Exactly. It's acknowledging, okay, you're going in the perfect direction for me. Before we started, Sarah, I really felt into like the messages that needed to be shared today, just like I do for your clients. And a big piece that's been coming up, not just for you, but for my clients as well who aren't working on fertility, is this idea of rebirth and resetting. And really, yes, January is coming up. So of course we're kind of talking about like, resetting, rebirthing, whatever for 2024. But what I've realized is that when we're not acknowledging those emotions and those feelings, and maybe we're like bypassing them, so maybe we are feeling negative because things haven't gone the way that we want them to go. So then we're like taught, to be very positive and to just think these positive affirmations and think about being pregnant and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't always work because we're stuffing our emotions down even deeper and deeper and deeper, which is really blocking a lot of our ability to heal energetically. So, as a wound healer, I absolutely love to help that pain release from our womb, from our heart, and really allow that to heal into wisdom. So, going from that wounded space and really transitioning into wisdom through feeling those feelings, even when they are hard and uncomfortable, instead of doing more of that like positive bypass of if I just think positive affirmations, something good will happen, which is not always true.
Yeah, exactly. That's sometimes people are trying to, take an affirmation and like, this doesn't even resonate. Maybe like
Yeah.
I am a mother or I am fertile. And you're like, oh, no, I don't feel fertile and I'm not a mother. Like, or maybe those do resonate with you. So it is very personal. Um, yeah. And that other piece of this, like in this case, people get very married to the AMH and the FSH. So they know their numbers and it's, AMH is low, the FSH is high. And they may be like married to the diagnosis too. And then those
Yeah.
words that this REI has told them can get implanted in their subconscious. And then there's this
Mhm.
whole like, negatively hypnotizing yourself. And sometimes people will say to me, I always worried this was going to happen. I worried that I wouldn't be able to get pregnant. I think I brought this on myself.
Yeah, and you know what? When it comes to things like that, I really feel that we have the power and the ability to really shift ourselves out of that. Like, I don't really believe that we are able to manifest those really heavy negative experiences. I think we have lessons that we've got to learn. Yes. There are definitely lessons in infertility. There are lessons when, we're looking for that perfect partner. There are so many lessons that we have to go through basically that we need to learn in order to reach whatever it is, even if it isn't fertility, just everyday things. So to me, it is very much of like kind of a switch of the mindset of I'm doing this for a reason, and it is happening and working out in the way that it should. Maybe not be the way that I want it to be, but there's some type of deeper lesson here. And I like to do that very gentle, subtle digging to figure out like what is going on, especially when we're talking about fertility. Like if you're if you're really looking to have that first baby or the second baby or more, how do you feel deep down? How do you like what fears and worries are coming up to the surface? And once we start digging through that little emotional iceberg, if you will, just very gently figuring out what's coming up, then I really like to introduce the idea again. It takes kind of a mindset switch, but you brought up the subconscious. When we see other women who are pregnant, who are adopting, who are doing donor eggs, like whatever the case may be, all of them, right? Fill in the blank. Those are women that we are able to train our subconscious, if you will, into believing that it's possible for us as well. So to get out of that negative state of mind and kind of that negative toxic cycle, looking to those women, looking to those expanders and seeing that they are pregnant, that they are doing the adoptions, blah, 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 whatever it is, and really feeling that possibility for yourself rather than, yes, let some envy come up, let some jealousy come up, but then really switch into I am also capable of doing this as well, and feel again into those emotions instead of bypassing them. Just really feel into them and let them come out and through.
Yeah, I like the expander piece, right? So it's interesting where, yeah, and like for me, obviously, we support people that are trying to get pregnant. So it's like, um, I find quite frequently that it'll be interesting. I'll be out and I'm like, oh, one of my clients is going to announce they're pregnant because I've seen like multiple either babies waving at me,
Wow.
bellies, like pregnant bellies coming towards me. And I saw a bunch this weekend. I was like, okay, someone's about to share with us because it's happened over and over and over. I was doing a master class here and I looked out from my window and there was like my next door neighbor. He's like the little guy is probably like 18 months or maybe he's like 16 months in there. He's like waving up at me. I'm like, ladies, do you got to be? So yeah, and then sure enough, someone announced the following week. So it is those expanders where if you're coming into contact with a lot, like that is the universe sharing with you. Yeah, that is for you.
Yeah, and I really love energy work or even very simply walking is some type of way to let go of our emotions, right? And you had mentioned that you just did yoga right before we met together. So a part of that piece in being able to switch from jealousy and envy, because I know I've felt that way when I've been trying to have my own children. I've definitely felt that jealousy and that envy come up. But what I like to do is do something to move my body, in other words, or do Reiki, do energy healing, or even therapy. Because once I'm able to release that energetic charge, which in this case is jealousy or envy, or even thought of that will never be me, once I'm able to release that, move it through my body, then I'm able to move into that hopeful space.
Yeah, do you have a practice or anything you do on that just to be able to like to work through more of a breathing thing or just yeah, just if it's your like if you're walking or yoga or you're just moving the body?
Well, I get really bored easily, so I do a lot of different things because I like to switch up my energy. So I live in Florida, so walking outside, Sarah and I were just talking about snow because I'm going to go visit Canada next week and there's going to be lots of snow. So I might walk a little bit outside next week, but probably not. But here, I love to walk around where we live. I love to walk on the beach. And I've noticed that the truly like the walking is what's really great for me. I like yoga, but sometimes I just get bored. I need like more constant movement, which is provided to me with walking. So that's always like, typically that's always my first step. And then I like to do meditations. And in these meditations, I really like to also feel and connect within my body where that heaviness is located inside my body so that I can go into this meditation knowing that I really would like to release the tension and the emotional charge to wherever that part of my body is aching so that then I can get clearer answers. Usually, I need some type of guidance when I'm shifting through these emotions. And when I say some type of guidance, that could be your higher power, that could be just even your ego telling you something positive to do. But those are like my favorite steps of either literally walking, so literally using my feet to step, or doing some type of energy healing, Reiki, meditation. And I do still do yoga every now and again, but I've just found that at this stage in my life, I really love walking so much.
Yeah, I go back and forth on yoga. I'm back into it now, but I walk every day. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It is interesting kind of with in the body where you hold certain parts of tension, right? Where we keep our stomachs clenched, our shoulders are tense, our jaw. I got the chiropractor. She's always sticking her finger in my mouth, trying to with a. She's wearing a glove, yes, but she's moving my jaw, and I'm like, stop, pokes it back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the tension that we have in all of our body, and kind of how that's manifesting for us. Like so many of us are taught to keep the stomach like clenched and flat, which here we are
Yes.
trying to have our baby, and yeah.
Exactly. And part of the womb healing is really understanding and resonating with the fact that we are taught as women to really hold on to a lot of pain and shame and guilt. And gosh, I could name so many other emotions and thoughts, but we're taught to really keep all of that in and to take care of everybody else. So all of a sudden, our womb becomes a place of pain instead of that place of wisdom. And then it just really kind of filters throughout the rest of our body. And going back to kind of that epigenetics talk, like we also have some of our mom's stuff. We've got some of our grandma's stuff. So I say the walking thing because not everybody can do Reiki. Maybe not everybody believes in Reiki, but everybody can typically, walk or meditate or do some type of journaling exercise to really allow, or even breathing exercises. I really also do love breathing exercises, but to really just allow those emotions to wash over your body and then release them.
Yeah, it is to get something right. And I was meditating daily for years, and this year, nope, no meditation for me. No meditation. Just brought back yoga in probably about 3 weeks ago. But I've been walking the whole time. But it is to we all have the kind of seasons where we can get busy or whatever happens. But it is like that self-care piece, which is, it's not about manis and petties. It is whatever is feeling for you. And if it's journaling or if it's just doing some breathing or like I just had some essential oils on there, which I like. And we just put our Christmas tree up and I was like, I'm sitting by it. I'm like, ooh, it's a fresh one. So I'm like inhaling the fresh
Oh,
pine. Yeah. So
so
nice.
jealous.
So
We
nice.
always get fake ones.
We had the fake one for a year, and I'm like, every time that thing went up, I'm like, all I smell is dust. I'm like, I can't take it in because it was an older one. I'm like, get it out. Just get the thing was $90, but I'm like, but
Done.
there you go. Yeah. So it is see how you feel there. So I guess it's in some of the themes we talk about. So there's a lot of control that people, may feel during this journey. And if you're like the type A control type, this will sometimes exacerbate it. Especially with the clinics of where like pushing and the impatience piece, anxiety, worry, that catastrophizing about the future. Like, what if it doesn't work? What am I going to do? Like, what's going to happen? And just all day long on a loop of back to that negatively hypnotizing yourself. So to be able to break the cycle with to be able to talk about that stuff or work it through by actually moving.
Yeah, and I am such a control person. So what I've really learned is that I can control what I can control. So therefore, I try to find the ways that I can control things, which yes, is definitely walking, meditation, Reiki, all those things that we've been talking about. But another idea that really is helpful for me and what I teach all of my clients who are women are, and even if they don't have their womb anymore, because I work with a lot of women who physically don't have their womb anymore, but placing your hands on this area and asking her. So think of it as like a separate energy of you, still you, but it's easier if you kind of say like her, it's kind of creating a separate energy. So you're more apt to believing it basically. But ask her this or that questions. Like, yeah, manis and petties are really nice, but maybe it's just as simple as like, do I want chocolate right now or do I want ice cream? That to me helps me feel like I'm in more control of my life. And I'm also happier because I'm really listening to my gut and I'm in tune with what it is that my body is trying to tell me. Even when it's something that silly, that's like, do I want chocolate or ice cream? I'm bringing awareness and intention into my body and into my desires. And the more that you are able to do that, especially as a woman, the more you're going to be able to step into your power and you're going to be able to speak up in those times, maybe when you feel that something isn't going in the direction that you want it to go in, especially medically, because you're full energetically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I remember was working with us, doing some intuitive or psychic training for a while, and she had us be able to make decisions. And I consider myself fairly like quite decisive. I'm like, let's just make a decision and I go. I don't overthink. I'm just let's roll. But a lot of people, but even sometimes you need help with the decisions. And she would have like a flower, and then you have it on either side. And you're like, is it the cake or cake or chips, and then the flour would wilt and it's the cake. So it is like some of the smaller decisions. So then when you've got the bigger ones where you're like, do I transfer one or two? Do I, what do I do with the one that hasn't been tested? The egg that hasn't been, the embryo that hasn't been tested, the one that has, do they need to be tested? Do I need all these different decisions along the way if we're going down an IVF path? Obviously, we're not anti-IVF. We're pro-health. We want you to work on your health first. Either get pregnant naturally. If you do need to go to IVF, you're going to improve your chances of it working. but there's a lot of decisions along the way. Is working on my health, is it going to set me back? Because it's, I could go to IVF right away, but our thing is you can't skip the health piece because it'll come back to get you either during the pregnancy, postpartum period, the health of your children. To me, you're in a very powerful spot. But it gets back to the whole decision piece and being able to listen to you, because we're always like, if you find yourself, I'm going to ask this person, I'm going to ask that person, I'm going to see what they think. You already know, you already know what to do.
Yes. But we're taught not to trust that, we are really taught to trust everybody else. And then at the end of the day, then we can turn the attention on ourselves. But most of us are too busy and we're too tired. We really need to focus on filling up ourselves first, and then we can take care of everything else. But we're taught that complete opposite in our society. And those exercises, I'm sure some people are thinking they sound so silly, but they really do build up that self-trust muscle. And like you're saying, like when you're in those moments, you're already in tune with how your body responds, how your brain responds. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to be able to actually truly stay on more of a positive path instead of going down that negative cycle. But this is different because you're not just completely bypassing and going to like a positive affirmation. You're really leaning into that self-trust.
Yeah, because we're all intuitive. We've
Uh-huh.
sort of we've forgotten to listen to ourselves and to all the signs of things that are around us. If it's all the bellies and the pregnant bellies are coming your way, what does that mean for you, right? And sometimes we're caught in the envy and the jealousy piece. The universe is showing you something here. All the gender
Yeah.
reveals on your
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, you know.
Or
Um,
your computer resetting itself right before we were talking about resetting ourselves.
like that was, yeah, like come on. Like that was no accident. And so, and I guess about the womb space here. So you've got a number of different meditations. You have, we'll have a link to that for people. But anything kind of like anything and more about the womb that you wanted to share with people?
I want to really encourage each of you to connect to that space. It seems and feels very, very hard. I think from the outside looking in, I know that for me it felt like would be hard and impossible. And I just had to start very little by little by little in order to really get myself to see the evidence that it was working, that I was connecting to myself and connecting to that womb space. And of course, I am a womb healer. So I'm like, I love the womb. I know, but it is really, truly a powerhouse for women. And the more that I see women connect deeply to that area, even when they're like, I don't know if this is working, or is this like really happening, or is this my ego? When you're feeling into those choices, allow yourself to just do it and learn by experience, because you're going to start building up that confidence and you're going to learn. I knew that first hit was like what I should have done, but I went and did this instead anyways. Okay, well, what did that feel like energetically in your body? What thoughts were going through your mind? The more that you truly commit to doing this, the easier it's going to be over time. And I love it when skeptics come to me because they're so I can't even say the word skeptical, that this little trick will work. And then when they actually do it, it's like mind blowing because it truly does work. So I just really want to encourage you to do that today before the end of your day. Ask yourself a this or that question. Even like you were talking about flowers, you could even go to the grocery store and ask yourself, like, do I want these roses or these peonies? Like, whatever. Figure out which one you want and really start getting into tune with yourself.
Yeah, I love that, because someone else's advice is not right for you. It's right for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about as we head into 2024, as we're recording this beginning of December, I guess, as we set our intentions for 2024, like preparing a forecast here for this, what are we seeing? I guess we drew a card at the beginning of the session, so we're gonna share that with you. So I guess kind of let's look at some cards and what's happening here for our community.
Yeah, I wanted to shuffle them ahead of time so you weren't sitting there listening to me annoyingly shuffle the cards. So, the deck that I really wanted to use today is Sacred Power, and it's by Anna Stark. So the card that I immediately pulled is freedom, which of course I was so thrilled about. It actually, now that I'm reading the description, completely perfectly fits our whole session. As always, it does. But I'm going to read you the description. So, free your spirit, take control of your life now. Wild and free, the horse chooses to run in any direction at its own pace. So, picture, if you will, the card has a moon at the top and then two horses next to each other running, a white one and a black one. So, that's what the card looks like. Okay, now back to the description. Understand that everything in your life right now is completely within your power to change. Once you cooperate with your soul's request to be free from emotional or physical ties, you become limitless and can run free again. The arrival of horses brings news of personal journeys and new directions. The white horse brings truth, honor, and integrity, and the dark horse brings the shadow of mystery, pride, and illusions. Bringing both together to create a yin-yang balance allows you to understand what is preventing your freedom. Follow through with your agreements before you make new commitments. And you may feel that you're not in control of your life right now, but in fact you are. You can decide at this very moment how to react to the circumstances within your environment. Observe your surroundings and discover what your soul really wants. You already have the power and freedom to choose within you. The question is, what direction do you wish to run? Honor your free will by choosing to acknowledge your desire for a break and a change, even if it's only temporary. Right now, your soul desires freedom. By removing restrictions, you can move in any direction. Feeling trapped or burdened by family affairs, responsibility, finance, relationship, and or career choices can sometimes make us feel suffocated. Your soul is trying to release you from commitments as you yearn for the freedom to make your own choices. Break away from old attachments and responsibilities. Your soul is asking you to be playful and have some fun. The horse asks you to simplify your life and expand your knowledge. Seek more information before you make future decisions. It is essential through this growth period that you find the freedom that you need to allow yourself to flourish. You have the power to change the direction of your life. Now, there's an affirmation at the bottom after we were talking about affirmations. And it says, I am moving forward in the direction I choose, bringing me closer to achieving my goals and my divine life.
That's a nice affirmation.
Yeah. And it's such a perfect message because I really feel like we've been talking about really feeling powerful by making your own choices and decisions and how that gets easier over time with practice. And I think this card is just perfect for that. And you saw I shuffled before I even pulled it.
Yep. And anything else for that you're seeing overall for 24? Are you?
So I also pulled an abundance card, which I think is really interesting because what I really feel is happening is collectively we are changing and we're growing into a much higher evolution. So no matter what your spiritual beliefs are, I feel like that's true for all of us because the earth is also growing in that direction. So it's going to happen to us whether we want it or not, basically. So the more that you can really get in touch with those feelings and getting in touch with your higher power and your faith, the easier it's going to become. So this abundance card that I'm seeing really speaks to the ability, to the ability to feel abundant, right? Whether that's food, financial, children, health, all of the above. I think that really comes to fruition for us when we're able to connect to that higher power and have faith and trust in our path. So the freedom card is coming in to say we can control what we can control. And a big part of that is trusting ourselves. But then this abundance card is really coming in and speaking to having that faith. So let me read the description as well in case there are other messages in here for your listeners. Success, abundance awaits you now. Be patient. And the image is two hands at the top of the card with a bunch of like basically gold coins. But these hands are really up like in the sky, almost like the creator, like your higher power. Because then the sun is getting really close towards the bottom of the card. And there's some mountainscapes and then a lot of food. So that's really representative to me of that message of connecting to your higher power so that you can feel that faith and abundance. Okay, but let's read the description. To harvest a plentiful bounty, we must wait for the cycle of growth to be complete. Patiently nurturing and removing obstacles as they arise will allow the fruit to ripen to achieve the best yield possible. After the harvest, we begin to see the rewards of our efforts flow back to us in abundance. You are about to achieve success. You've been working so hard of late, and you are going to be rewarded for your efforts. Acknowledge your achievements. It is important to remember that worry only creates distance between you and your successes. It is only when we begin to trust the universe and the Creator that everything is received in divine timing. Hand over your concerns about money directly to Source and the universe. You will receive assistance to remove obstacles that may be inhibiting your ability to access abundance in all forms. Planning and organizing your finances and assets are essential during this harvest period. Settle financial matters while you have the opportunity. Set aside a portion of your income to assist you through the winter months and prepare you for the season ahead. It is your birthright to live an abundant life. The harvest reminds you that while you are waiting to receive, you must acknowledge and show gratitude for the opportunities presented to you. The celebration of the season brings the completion of events. It is time now to sow new seeds and begin the next cycle of growth. This universe and or the Creator will always provide you with what you need, not always what you want. So reconsider this. Right, and the affirmation is, I am now willing and able to receive the golden flow of universal abundance. I allow my soul to be aligned with my divine birthright, accepting and integrating this energy with love and gratitude. Now, Sarah, I want to touch on this for just a second. It says that the harvest reminds you that while you are waiting to receive, you must acknowledge and show gratitude for the opportunities presented to you. We really discussed that when we were talking about pregnancy, gender reveals, all of that, and really turning that from that envious or jealousy state into that it is going to come true for me kind of a state.
That was I wrote that down, that passage as well. I was like waiting to receive and then being grateful. Yeah. Because it is a waiting period right now for people, right? As we prepare a solid foundation to have our baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And being grateful. Yeah. The gratitude piece for where we are and everything we've done. And I also feel like to really put that on ourselves too, right? For grateful for everything that we have done to get ourselves where we are.
Yes.
Be it because there's a struggle piece of there's a beginning and an end to a struggle. Maybe you're just caught in the messy middle.
Yeah. And really looking at how far you've come is so magical. It really creates such a big difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, great. I think those are so freedom and abundance, being able to, as we move into 2024, being able to, and so how, to be able to just have this, be able to visualize a positive, not a positive outcome. It is kind of like we talked about. So doing some movement, thinking of those cards we just pulled. Anything else? Be able to visualize.
Leaning into that self-trust, that this or that question, and really being able to connect to that piece of you and noticing that difference in your body when you do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Okay. And so let's just share. So you've got the sacred womb meditation and you have your spirit baby communication YouTube channel. What can they expect in those?
Yes. So I have a lot of playlists, I'm not going to lie. But there is a playlist that's Spirit Baby Communication on Soulshine Reiki on YouTube. And so you'll find those two meditations in there. You'll find a couple of other things in there that are really helpful, including even womb chanting, where you're speaking out loud the word for womb, or for the chakra, for the sacral chakra. So there's lots of different things in there to really help release energy.
Nice. And we'll have the links to that so people can check it out. So it is and do you recommend any time of day? Like when would you listen to those? Is there like in the morning or?
Yes, in the morning or before you're falling asleep, your subconscious is really taking over because your brain is falling asleep, right? Or it's just waking up. So those are the best times to do it. But if you're going to do it in the middle of the day because you're stressed or anxious, that's also perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for sharing this. I think it's really, I personally love all this stuff. That's why I have you on and have you as part of the program. So because I find this stuff is
Thank
very,
you.
very important, and it just, to me, it gives you that level of peace that we are, like, we're the conductor of our own healing. We assemble a team around us. We know our body best. And yeah, like we talked about today, to be able to lean into our intuition, be able to make, the decisions that are right for us, and not out of fear, but out of, yeah, how do we just one last thing, the fear and love piece. Anything you want to say on that as a decision is, because sometimes it might be feeling kind of lack as we make our decision.
Yes. Okay. So when you're asking yourself those this or that questions, that's why I really want you to pay attention to your body and to your thoughts in those moments, especially as you continue to go along, because you're going to realize when it's like that fearful or egoic side talking versus your higher self or your loving self talking. After a few times, you're really going to see that happening. So that's what I would say is just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and learn by trial and error. That's all that is. You're learning by trial and error. So when maybe you chose, wrongly, if you will, in this exercise, you're not really choosing wrongly, but you know what I mean. If you're like, oh, that didn't hit the spot. All right, well, great. Now next time you know exactly what to pay attention to so that you can build that trust and then lean more into that positive space because you're connected to your intuition.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Nichole.
Thank you.